Hello, everyone. I don't know if, let me turn my volume down. Whoop. Okay. On my iPad. Hello. I don't know if anybody's in here, but hello,
Hello.
welcome. If hello, Daniel. How are you today? You look lovely in your blue.
Thanks. I'm peachy. It's hot.
Is it so hot there?
It's hot and muggy. Not like
Uh,
super hot, just hot for my fatness. Hot that I don't want to mug.
Hot for me.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, LaDonna. Hey,
Hello.
Barbie. Hello.
Oh, there's Barbie. Howdy, Barbie.
Howdy. Anyway, so hot and muggy in Illinois is
Sunny.
is it South Illinois, South Central?
I am East Central Illinois.
Oh, East Central. Okay. Well,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am, and here it is cloudy. It's rain today. We need it. We're apparently in a drought now. Oh, hey, Priscilla. Hey, girl. Welcome
Hello.
to our Double D live chat. I was just telling about the weather here in the Midlands. It is rainy, not cold, not cool, but it could be cooler for my liking. Not Indiana.
That cracks me up. Because Barbie said I was in Indiana one time.
Oh, how's Indiana doing? I don't know. Um,
I have no idea.
so yeah, it's finally rained. We need more rain because apparently we're going to go into a drought if we don't get enough rain. So
I
I
did
don't
see a
care. Next week,
headline that the droughts over there caused a secret garden to be found at one of the castles.
really, I haven't even read that. I live here.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Windsor Castle or where, but because of the drought, evidently the outline. I didn't read it, but evidently,
Priscilla, can
how
you
droughts
confirm?
will show, an area where there once was a garden. I guess I don't
Oh,
know.
right.
I didn't
Yeah.
read it because I'm like, okay, whatever.
What I said that's like that lake where they found all the dead bodies, and was it Lost in Nevada? Yeah. Well,
They keep
if
finding
the
them as the
Thames gets
water
too
keeps going
low,
down.
if the Thames gets low, which is in London, nowhere near there, just FYI. If that gets
Well,
low, I could imagine that'd be pretty nasty.
that's the thing. There's a lot of that. I been watching. I can't remember what the name of the program is, but that's what they specialize in. They go in and look for people who are missing in bodies of water for their cars and stuff, and they have
Hmm.
found several people that way.
I mean, it's
Where
awful.
people
It's
where people
awful.
have just driven off a road by accident, or something has happened like that, and they've been missing for a long time, and then they find them. There we go,
Okay.
Priscilla. Thank you.
Yeah, she read it, but she did. She saw the headline, but she didn't read it. So she.
It's pretty much explanatory. Drought discovers new garden in, I don't know, Windsor Castle or wherever it was. I mean, I'm not going to
Some
read a whole
castle.
article about saying, oh, by the way, I got the gist of it from the
Oh
headline.
my goodness. I just read the headlines and keep moving. Keep it moving.
That's
I don't
pretty
need to
much
get
what I
too
do
deep.
because I don't want to read the whole stories, especially with headlines over here. The headlines are
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah, our headlines aren't great either. But yes, so here, like I said, it's been rainy. Thank goodness. I'll be in Scotland next week. Hopefully, it'll be raining there. It'll be a lot cooler, and I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Fun
Although
times.
I've had to battle a little bit of a unclear what I had, if it was strep throat or just a what do you call it? A respiratory virus. And I went to the doctor twice, and apparently I'm allergic to penicillin. Well, that was good to find out after I took it. So I was like, wow, guess what? I was all itchy. It was horrible. I didn't like have a really bad reaction. I just had like itchy. Went back to the doctor, saw someone different. And he told me, you don't need antibiotics, ma'am. You need to just drink chamomile tea. I said, excuse me? Is this like, herbal medicine here? I thought I was in a doctor's office.
I love how
I
Dolores
read.
is telling this story because she wasn't quite as calm as she's seeming right now.
There was a lot. There was a lot of effing and blind, and I tell you what, I was like, and he was like, yes, yes, you know, he checked me all out. No one took any cultures. Let's just say that. They're just, it's like it was a guesstimate. So the first one thought I had strep throat, and apparently that's why she prescribed me penicillin with no cultures. The second one said, just have some tea. And I don't drink tea. I don't drink hot tea. I don't drink cold tea. I don't drink tea. I know I live here. I should drink tea. I do not. But let me tell you what. I went to the store afterward, got me some chamomile tea, and I was, you know, effing and blinded to Daniel. I was like, this crazy dude, he calls himself a doctor, you know, all the things. And why is he giving me herbal medicine? What the heck is it? You know, I was pissed. So then I said, the last thing I said to Daniel, I said, watch this shit work. And it did. It did help me. To be fair, it did. I did have to take a Benadryl from the itching for the penicillin reaction. And then I drank I put 2 tea bags of chamomile. I said, if I'm going to go big, I'm going to go big. I'm going to make sure it's strong. Kill whatever's in there. And I woke up late last night and bing, I was fine. So,
You know
hi,
what
Monica.
else? What else too that I've always heard, because you know he's not the only one that recommends like teas and stuff, but putting honey in it because there's something in honey that also helps.
Oh, did have honey. Maybe I'll try that tonight. But he said the doctor, or the herbal specialist, as I like to call him, said that chamomile is a natural antibiotic. And I was like, that's fine if I was out there chewing on leaves and didn't have a choice. Do you know what I mean? I was like, give me my pharmaceuticals.
She's more mad that it worked than that it didn't.
Yeah, I was pissed that it
worked. She's mad about the cure.
I was like, oh, message there. I said, oh, he was right. Oh. Oh. Anyway, y'all, we're not here to talk about herbal medicine or, alternative food. Hey, Miss Pamela, or alternative medicines. We aren't here to talk about that. But we do have a great topic. And I'd like to tell you the popular thing happening in 2022 in the UK. Oh, it is on trend, y'all. Let me tell you. It is on trend. Honey, everybody's doing it here in the UK. And that is going on strike. Yes, that is going on strike. Industrial action. Everybody's jumping on bandwagon. That's all go on strike. So that's what we're talking about today. Because everybody's striking here. Everybody. Excuse me. Everybody is going on strike. And why? Why is everybody going on strike?
So are they on strike right now or planning to strike?
Yesterday, the beginning of the month, the Rail, Maritime, and Transport Union, RMT, decided to go on strike. They went on strike. It was in end of June, beginning of July. They went on strike, which that's the railways. That's the railways. So 14 train operating companies, including TfL, which is Transport for London, went on strike. And yesterday they went on strike yesterday as well. They picked certain days. They don't do like one big strike. They do strike this day and then strike this day and then strike this day. So because here you have to let the company know you're going to strike. Okay, that's how it works here. Because we still have unions here. And so because it has, and the reason the RMT is striking, the RMT union, the transport union is striking, is because one, pay, there's dispute about the pay, the jobs, and the conditions of their work. But then when I say jobs, a lot of the train companies are going to start using automated systems, automated, track, when you switch the track, automatic. A lot of them are going to start using a lot of automated systems, which is going to reduce the number of actual people you need, which good and bad. You can have pros and cons for both. But so as a result, they expect obviously people to do different jobs. Like my job's an operator, but then I have to get out and take tickets, and then I have to get out and do this, and I have to get out and do that. So you're doing all these jobs with one pay, and I don't know how. I understand that because I'm doing that now, but I don't even work for the railway, but it's happening to me and my job. So they walked out for 3 days in June. It was June, and they walked out again in part of July. They walk us in a few days, and they only do it like 1 or 2 days a week. So it's not like they're doing it forever. They're just they went on strike yesterday. They're planning more strikes in August. So,
So,
um,
coming from an American point of view, does that serve any purpose if you're not actually shutting things down for a long period of time? You know what I mean?
well,
Because
yes,
here, when you go on strike, you're going on strike and you're going to be without a job for quite a while. They're
right,
going to try to make that company suffer without anything
right.
happening until they get what they want.
So there's 14 companies. I don't know how many actual rail companies are in total, but 14, which is a large number of. It does cause chaos, and this is it. It's not even if it's just one day or two days a week. People use the trains to get to, like, let's say I live here in the Midlands, but I work in London,
So
which a
it's
lot of
not
people
just freight
do.
trains; it is the
Oh
train
no,
service.
this is I'm sorry, this is passenger trains.
Oh, it's not freight trains.
And as far as I know, it's not, but it could be. I have no idea, but maybe it is. I know that it is definitely passenger trains, and that TfL, which is Transport for London. I mean, that's the tube. You know, you close a tube, any tube line down for one day in London, you're gonna have an issue. So because what
Mhm.
happens is then buses have to come in and change their bus lines to pick up these people to go to the next, to take them to wherever. It could be an absolute mess even for one day, because you have to understand the capital, which a lot of people work in and live outside of London because it's too expensive to live in London. Or if I want to go from here to Manchester, let's say I work in Manchester or Birmingham, if they're on strike, or if let's say I was going to take a trip up to somewhere on the train, on the day I plan that trip, doesn't matter if I get my money back. It doesn't matter. That's the day I was supposed to leave and have to be in a hotel at some point. You know what I mean? I've missed a day of travel. So it can cause a lot of chaos, and it has caused a lot of chaos. And a lot of it is obviously it's disputing over job cuts, obviously due to yeah, H. Welch. UK train service is legendary. Nightmare normally. Yeah, true. So you can imagine never on time or cancel. And you can imagine if that happens on a normal day, you get some kind of disruption on a normal day. Can you imagine when they go on strike? It absolute chaos. And so, like I said, they're striking because of job cuts, changes to terms, um, conditions, and a pay rise because the cost of living has risen. Um, right now, inflation is 9.4%. So it's if you get a 5% pay rise, which I think that's what they're asking for, or that's what they're trying to negotiate. They're not even giving them that. People are feeling a little, and they're also because you're having job cuts because of, um, you know, of the automated situations being automated. Then whatever duties people will now increase because they have less people. So now these people have to do, you know, now more jobs, even though part of that job is automated. Not all that job is automated, but they'll make redundant the person who does that job and something else. Well, the automated part is taken care of, but now the other thing that person did now goes to someone else who's not getting paid more for it. So it's a big kerfuffle. And Boris, honey, he's gonna be gone. Bye, bye, Boris. But of course, who's replacing him is a situation. Now that's not the only people going on strike. uh, Royal Mail has decided to strike now. same situation. And they first started off, so we would call it industrial action. So when you start, when you start industrial action, the first port of call is working to rule. So meaning that I'm not doing anything outside the scope of my job. If my job says this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm not working overtime. And it usually means not working overtime. A lot of times when you're working to rule, I'm not working any hours but my 8 hours a day. Don't ask me, I'm not going to do it. So that's what starts. That's what industrial action is. And if that doesn't work, when working to rule doesn't work, then you strike. What you do is your union usually contacts you through post, or I know mine contacts me through the mail. I'm like, hello, I have an email. But you fill out a ballot of the actions you want, and then you send it back in. They count the ballots, and then they go from there. So, yeah. So it's just, and it's just tough, and like, especially with Royal Mail. Royal Mail will affect me, as you know. Royal Mail is also going to. The dates haven't been announced yet. More than 115,000 Royal Mail workers have voted to go on strike. Now, no dates have been announced. They must have done their work. I think they already did the work to rule situation, and they still got no joy. So now they're going to announce a strike. And here's the thing. Not only is the Royal Mail going to go, I mean, I got a list here. We go down the list, y'all. Do you have any questions, Daniel? I don't want to be taking the whole conversation over.
No, I'm just paying attention because maybe I don't want to come to the UK. Maybe I won't be able to anyways because, the airlines will go on strike next. So I won't even be able to get in.
Yeah. So Royal Mail again, so, the same reasons.
The Royal Mail, and so that's going to shut down all companies that ship. Any internet
anybody
companies
who uses,
or resellers or people that get medical supplies or anything like that. That's all going to shut down.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jamie.
Although, do you have UPS there?
Yeah, we do. But
are they going on strike?
No. This is just a Royal Mail. They did work through COVID. That's the thing. They worked very hard through COVID. Hey, Bree, thanks for popping in. So, I mean, a lot of people like the Royal Mail did work very hard because that's how we were getting stuff. you have to order online. Royal Mail was still working. DHL, yeah, DHL. We have. Is it every? It used to be. Oh, what it used to be called, y'all? Y'all know, Priscilla, if you're there, tell me what every used to be. We have companies like every. UPS does ship within the UK. I don't know how much they are. I've never used them to ship within the UK. I just use Royal Mail because it's quite inexpensive. I can send up to a kilo package for, let's say a 6x6x6 box, second class for £2.85. That's cheap. Do you know what I mean? But we have,
so are they wanting
we have other ones.
Higher pay or less hours?
Yes.
Or
it's pay. It's overpay again because they worked effortlessly. I mean, they worked very they were our only way to the outside world during COVID was Royal Mail. I mean, yes, you had the other delivery companies. A DPD, that's another one. DPD. So we have a few different ones here, but Royal Mail is kind of tried and true. When you post a claim with Royal Mail, I mean, yes, you have to have the physical evidence and present it to them, but you get your money back. I mean, some of these companies, like I think it was a DPD and there's horror stories about them throwing packages just over the fence because they can't be asked. Do you know what I mean? And Royal Mail is pretty good about,
Is Royal Mail actually run by the government?
Not anymore. It's privatized.
Okay. because
It's not privatized.
I don't understand our mail system because it's federal, but yet it's not run by the Fed. I don't quite understand
No,
how
so
it
Royal
works.
Mail is privatized. Uh, and so it used to be ran by the government, but I think I can't remember what year. I wasn't here when it went privatized. It was privatized by the time I got here, child. So, Sandy Robinson, a full-time week here is 40 hours for most companies. Some companies are 37 and a half, some are 38, some are 40. I only work 38, and that's only because that was part of a pay deal years ago. So before that, I'd worked 40, but because they couldn't give us enough money one year, they said, okay, how about this? How about they give, so we wouldn't strike. How about we give you this amount and you can have 2 hours off on a Friday? Do you know what I'm saying? So some companies use both Royal Mail and DHL. Yeah, I personally, if I'm shipping with it, actually now I use Royal Mail International because UPS put their prices up to ship to the United States. So I use Royal Mail a lot of times because it's cheaper. It's actually cheaper. So that'll put a kink in the works for shipping. You know, I might say, hey, you might have to hold off because Royal Mail striking tomorrow. So let me get back to you when you gonna get that. So there's that.
So you probably don't know this, but
Mhm.
since they are a private company, so would that private company then bring in scabs to take over while the
I
others are
don't.
striking?
I think. Yeah. No, like. Yeah. I know what you're saying. I don't know. You stop it, Momo. You have Mo cats doing something naughty. You. I don't know if I think it's different than when now. I think it's different than back when the miners were striking in the 80s, where they would bring people in like that. I don't think, honestly, they would risk it. I don't know. I don't think they would. And I don't think anybody would want to do it. I mean, you can't get people here to work now because there's so much employment opportunities, but it's in areas that people were working in during the pandemic. But then when the pandemic happened, they kind of maybe reassessed their life and went, I don't want to work in that industry anymore. Do you know what I mean? Which is fair enough. That's happened a lot. So we don't have a lot of people working in the service industry anymore. We struggle. And plus, with Brexit, you had a lot of people who could come over from Europe because we were all one, and they didn't need special papers to come in because we were all part of the European Union. Well, now, because of Brexit, you have to come in, you have to pay, I don't know how much it is, to work here in the UK. They're kind of like, well, I can just work at home. You know, I mean, where before a lot of your service industry employees were people from the European Union. You know, sometimes they were college, university students on break, wanted to come to the country and work. You could do that freely. There was free movement. But now that doesn't happen. And so, of course, a lot of our workers, that worked in the service industry aren't here. We don't have them anymore. Yeah, that correct. H. Welch. They did learn that from the Thatcher era. You
See
don't really
that
want to.
when I hear you talk about strikes, that is what is
That
pictured in my mind is from
mhm.
the Margaret Thatcher era because that was quite the brouhaha.
Right.
That was something else.
Yes, that was the British coal industry, uh, and there was a major strike to prevent the closing of the colliery places, the pits, the mines. Um, no renovations, yeah, and they they really screwed that up. That that whole situation could have been avoided. It could have been avoided, but they were so headstrong, and I understand that the problem with that was a lot of our industry went to other countries because it was cheaper to just import it back. Now, being that the environment is the way it is now, it, it, it you know, it was probably a good idea, but the way they went about it was completely just reckless. It was absolutely Brexit, reckless. She said Brexit there. I said it. Brexit. Ooh. It's I mean, people. I don't want to get into that. That'll be a whole nother show. I got thoughts and feels about that, but that is my business. I ain't British. Um, um, and it was the goal was of the union of the um, NUM, which was the National Union of Mine Workers, was to prevent the closures of the mines. And it was just, I mean, and it went to, it was political unrest. It wasn't even just a strike. It was basically political unrest in a, in the, in the worst way. And people died. People, I mean, there was like 11,000 people arrested, 8,000 people, over 8,000 people charged with crimes for striking because it got violent, because it got crazy. It got like, these people, you have to, and I'm not excusing that. But what I'm saying is that you had people who worked in the mines. Their fathers worked in their mines. Their grandfathers before them worked in the mines. Their life was the mines. And when the mines went, areas like even where I live were poverty stricken. In fact, there's one town, I can't remember the name of the town, in South Yorkshire that was the most poverty stricken town in the country at that time. Just a mess. Just people lost their jobs. People didn't know what to do with themselves. People would get like this big sum of money, to leave, and they either didn't know what to do with it because they had no financial, expertise. No one was guiding them, and they would either blow it or become depressed and drink it. It was an absolute, I mean, excuse my French, shit show. That was, and that's just me. I wasn't here when it happened. That's just me reading about it. I work with men at my place who worked in the mines, who would tell you stories. And it was wow. Do you know what I mean? It was quite, and that's why when you hear strike, that's what you think. You think, oh, really violent. Yeah, and they brought in the coal from the other places. That's right. That's exactly. It all went to be imported. That was the whole point. And and having said that, though, it could have been dealt with better. And I think that experience kind of highlighted the difficulties with people trying to negotiate with each other in the form of striking. And now, I mean, I would hate to think that would happen now. I'm not saying it couldn't, but I think people are also, if to the point like, well, if you're not going to pay me, I'll leave. You know what I mean? I'll go somewhere else. So you do, where these people, that's all, during the miners, that's all they knew. Their whole life was that. Their mother, their fathers, their brothers, everybody worked in the mines. So there wasn't, when that industry went, you had a very bleak, unfortunately bleak outlook for the areas that were heavy in mining. The Midlands were very, South Yorkshire, all of it was very heavily reliant on the mines financially. So, but now I think people who work as a postal worker and who think, you know what, I don't with this. I can just go get another job. I'll go work for DHL or I'll go work for UPS. Do you know what I mean? So, and that is the fear. Yeah, that's the fear that these companies have to be careful. And I mean, and I understand if they get a raise, the price of mail may go up. The price of posting. The price of tickets may go up for on the railways and the TFL. Also, teachers are talking about striking now. They never get paid enough, as far as I'm concerned. You want a raise? Here you go, because they're teaching. Your future is in their hands. Those kids are having to be taught by these people, and a lot of, a school can sometimes be very hard, very difficult. I mean, Beth's not in the chat, but Beth Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties uh, has been a teacher for years, and she can talk about the struggles of being a teacher. So the teachers are talking about it as well. So that's
Yeah,
another. That's a,
you know, they deserve all
yeah,
kinds of money because I don't know how it is over there, but I've always been flabbergasted that teachers have to buy their own supplies for their classroom. That makes
yeah,
no sense to me whatsoever. It is a school. Those teachers should not be forced to buy their own. The school should be providing for
oh
those
yeah,
children the supplies that are needed. And now we have different laws being passed over here that stifle what teachers can and cannot say
right.
and who they can and cannot be. So they deserve all
Right.
kinds of money.
Yeah. And hi, Angela. Thanks for popping in. She said we had a big teacher strike here in 2019, so they passed laws to make it illegal in West Virginia. To strike? Oh no. No, that's your right. That's your right. To here's the thing, and we'll get into it. Um, there's, let's talk about the pros of having industrial action, shall we? Let's talk about the pros. Obviously, you probably all know the pros. You probably, um, you probably know could guess what the pros are, but like, it's increased pressure on government to make sure that the companies that are running these businesses have to, you know, be accounted, they have to have not be accounted for, but have to be, have to have the right safety measures in place. Okay, so Bree was a teacher for a minute. I had to pay for everything except photocopies. Well, see, here's the thing. In fact, y'all say that. I was talking to Beth. She was out shopping one day, and I was like, "Oh, what are you buying?" She was at Walmart, and she said, "I'm buying supplies to donate so that the kids, like she buy a pack of supplies, and you can pick like you can buy for one kid, two kid, three kids, or whatever." She was out buying school supplies for kids for the upcoming school year. Like, these aren't her children. She was buying them for kids for the because some children show up and their parents can't afford all the school supplies because there's a lot of school supplies. My parents had three kids. I don't know how they managed, but uh, they managed, and then they would even buy extra and take it to the school, to the classrooms, so in case anybody didn't have any construction paper or whatever it was, pencils, paper, you know. So that's so yeah, and that was quite shocking that uh, she's in 2022. You still have to buy, donate stuff to classrooms because that can't the school district or whoever can't pay for it. So yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. So H. Welch said we have a teacher strike coming up. Full disclosure, I'm a union member. Yeah, they're actually that's interesting, H. Welch, because I think they're going to do the ballot this year. Sometime later this year, they're going to put a ballot toward to the teachers, and it's the largest teachers union, which is called. Um, I want to give them a shout out. The NEU will ballot their members on strike action later this year, unless the government agrees to an inflation plus pay rise. I mean, and there's because there's problems recruiting, there's problems with retention of keeping teachers. Do you know what I mean? So that's yeah, and it's very, and one more group of people who are going to strike. If that wasn't enough, the nurses, NHS nurses, and I heard a story of this the other day about it. Is that when you go become a nurse, when you're training for a nurse, here it used to be that you got that paid for. It was paid for you. You went because nurses are very important people. We need them in our NHS. Now they have to pay to be nurses, and they only get a government stipend of 5,000 for the entire time, 5,000 pounds for the entire time they're in nursing school. And here's the thing, and you think, well, why is the government paying for it? Because they work for the government. That's why. Because we pay National Health Service. We pay that every time we get paid, or I get paid every month, so I pay it every month. And our taxes just went up for the NHS. Why aren't they getting that money? Why aren't they getting that money? You know what I mean? Like, and we have candidates now because Boris has been ousted, and we have like two, Rishi Sunak and what's her name? I can't remember. What's her name? Please tell me, H. Welch. What's her name? The other one, Elizabeth Truss. I can't remember. Anyway, these two are running now for to be the head of Britain, to be the new prime minister. Well, Elizabeth Truss is like, well, yeah, I think I'll just take back that tax. I'll take the tax back that we raised for you guys for the NHS. I'm like, well, no. I mean, we've already paying it, so maybe you should tax other people. Other people, like people who make way up here, like the really big high echelons of society. Maybe you should tax them more money by what they make instead of taking away a tax that we now paying for the NHS. Like, what? No. No. So, and Liz Truss, yes, Priscilla, thank you. So they're all, they all have ideas. But, and look, after the pandemic, people left the medical field because they were like, this is too much. I just left nursing school, and then that's what you face. Not their fault, not anybody's fault. But the fact of the matter is, these people worked tirelessly through the pandemic, never stopped. And, just, should they get a raise? Yes. I'm paying my taxes. I got a tax increase. I thought that was for that. That's what y'all told us it was for.
Yeah, that field is just been through the ringer.
Yeah.
And the people that actually work it are just, I was watching something on YouTube about your worst experience with bosses or whatever, and it was so funny because the majority of the people who would not be let off for things like people's deaths, for things that have happened in their family, for things like, the majority of it was nurses. It was the healthcare field that would deny them any time off whatsoever, even if their mom had just died or they had just lost a kid. Or I'm like, that is absolutely crazy.
I know. It's it's ridiculous. And these people, and here it is, so the RCN, which is a union that represents over 465,000 nurses, midwives, healthcare assistants, and nursing students. The unions have rejected a 4% pay rise. 4%. Yeah, Rishi Sunak should be Richie Sunak because he's a millionaire. And his wife get that non-domicile tax break, but whatevs. We won't talk about that. But that's another show. But I'm loving that I've got these British people in here to be like, yes, girl. I'm loving it. They were
I'm learning more because I'm going to become over there and live too after everybody's done striking. Well, I can't say that. It's according to how bad it gets here.
I don't care if they're striking. I'm coming in.
Or I have to run. I know I'm going to be living out in the middle of the Lake District anyways. It's not going to affect me. I'm going to be living off grass and pond water anyways.
We have berries and wild apples. So they rejected a 4% pay rise. I don't blame them because, like, again, inflation is 9.4%.
Everything is so expensive now. I was talking to my sister as we were grocery shopping because every freaking week you go in, the prices have just went up again every week. And I was talking to her, and we had passed a couple years ago to raise our um, minimum wage here in Illinois, and it went up to 15, but it's over several years. And I'm like, they need to pass another one now, because $15 an hour don't pay you nothing now with as much stuff as you have to pay. So, um, people deserve more money, because eventually we're not going to be able to buy anything. So that's going to tank the economy even more.
And you're talking about industries that are, these aren't industry like my industry. I work in the automotive industry, and people aren't knocking down my door for cars. Regardless, I still would like a raise. But you're talking about industries like, teaching and nursing and transportation and mail. These are very important parts of our society. And I feel like you can't, I'm not, and people go, well, going on strike, they're just blackmailing the company. I'm like, you know why? Because they asked for something. And here's the thing. You don't go on, it's not like you ask for something, you go on strike. That's not how it happens. There's a process that I'm sure H. Welch can tell you. There's a long process before you get to industrial action. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of back and forth. It's months in the making. It's not like, oh, tomorrow we're going to strike. It doesn't work that way here. There's a lot of negotiation going on. And if a company can't bend a little bit for its employees to show the appreciation and the hard work, and they deserve the pay rise, then yeah, something's going to have to happen. In July, this is Priscilla. In July, my national insurance contributions was $271 equals $320. Yeah.
So is that per month?
That would probably be per month.
Was
that per month, Priscilla? I'm sure it's per month. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. So, and you put it to dollars. Basically, then to have NHS, you're paying what we pay for health insurance. Of course, ours doesn't cover like your health insurance does. Because if you have your own, if you're not working for another company and you buy your own, it's basically going to be that up to $500 or more per month. That's why.
Yeah,
that's why some people don't have health insurance.
Right. And obviously that's a whole other discussion about NHS and about our socialized medicine and people. Well, you're a bunch of socialists. I'm like, oh, we got pound stores. We're not socialists. It's just, see, it was 168. Yeah, it's gone up. I mean, everything's going up. It's crazy. And as a result of it, we're talking about industries that people rely on. People relied on them through the pandemic. Even teachers were teaching remotely. They'd never done that before. It's like, how do I corral a class of cats, basically, because I can't see what they're doing. They're remote. It is just, and there's so many. You can't say that, like I said, it's not like you're holding a company for ransom, because there's a lot of back and forth before you get to the point of industrial action, before you get to the point of striking. There's a lot of back and forth. If the company doesn't want to bend, then okay, well, we'll call you bluff then. And do I believe in striking? Yes and no. Yes, I do, because I think you have to, and that's where we're going to get to the pros of striking. The pros of striking. Awareness about the issues that are going on within your company. Awareness about the issues that need to be addressed. Population realization, meaning that everybody realizes how important your job really is. Do you know what I mean? It's like people, and because we take for granted stuff like teachers, the Royal Mail, the trains are always going to be there. Royal Mail is always going to be there. Nurses are always going to be there. Not if you treat them like shit, though. Sorry, but.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I just seen Priscilla's thing. I'm like, oh, please, Priscilla, don't get her started. She's right there with you, Priscilla. That's all we're going to say.
54%. Yeah, when it first happened, that's all I talked about. Poor Daniel was like, oh my God, if I have to hear this again.
And then it happened over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, like exactly, Beth. Trying to teach a 4 or 5 year old via computer. It's like herding cats. Exactly. It's like, it must be impossible. I'm not going to sit still in front of my computer. I'm 53 years old. So, of course, I have ADHD. Undiagnosed. Um, so the pro is enhanced solidarity between you and your coworkers, and you all having a common, um, a common bond, and you all want the same thing. You all want better conditions and better pay. Uh, you might go to 2 tier in the UK, like the UK. Okay, our contract talks a year before the due date. Okay, yeah, so ours does too. Our talks start way before, we start talking in January. Do you know what I mean? And that's and then we don't get anything until July. Then you have to backdate it. It's crazy. Um, the essence of democracy, obviously, because people have to vote when you're in a union, and you have to all vote to do it. It's not forced on you. It's not expected of you. It's what you want to do as a union member. Um, it secures immediate demands. Well, it should do, but you know, hopefully when you go on strike, you can, and here's the thing, the company doesn't want you to go on strike. They don't want to push you to that point. And they may have reasons, but then they need to express those. They need to be honest with you then, and not hide up why they don't want to give you a raise or what, or, God forbid the big CEO gets, his money cut. And it ensures better works conditions. It all the things. It's all. No one wants to strike, because when you strike here, you don't get paid. If I go out and strike for, even if it's one day, I'm losing a whole day's pay. So you have to really, you're going to be strong in your belief to want to do that. So, hi, Lynn. She took a smaller job, and they started, 20 years experience. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think you're pretty qualified to answer the phone, Beth. I mean, you can answer Marco Polo pretty good. So, and Halen, yeah, Vintage says try to keep her granddaughter to sit for half an hour. Yeah, no. So, and then here's a great thing about strike action right now. It's as high as it's been in 5 years. It's a shocker. I mean, you can imagine. I just said all that, and you're like, yeah, that tracks. You know what I mean? And a lot of it has to do with the pandemic and the continuing impact on society, meaning that like a lot of people, have left certain employment because the pandemic was too much on them. They were overworked, underpaid, understaffed. And now that we're catching back up, they're like, hey, why are we still working in these conditions? There's not a pandemic. I mean, there isn't still, there's still issues, but it's not like it was. Why are we still forced to work this way? Do you know what I mean? Which is ridiculous. They shouldn't be. And in the UK employment law, workers have the right not to be dismissed for going on strike. Hopefully. But they won't get paid if they go on strike. But under the Trade Union Act of 2016, there were tighter restrictions implemented on what constitutes legitimate action for strike. Well, I think not being able to eat is a good reason for me to strike. I can't afford my bills. Yeah, I think that's a good reason. So I just wanted to bring it up because a lot of it's happening here in the UK. I don't know what it's like. I didn't. We're getting close to the hour, but I didn't know if there was still really strong unions in the United States, if that was still a thing, because we have unions here. I'm sure they have some unions in the United States. I just don't know anything about it.
There's still unions I mean, there's all different kinds. There's all
Right. Yeah.
different.
For each. Yeah.
I mean, there's electrical, plumbing,
Right.
whatever. I mean, there's just teacher, all that. They're all kinds. It's just you don't here lately. You haven't heard a lot about striking anywhere
Well,
because,
stay tuned.
well, I think here we're still in the process of we need workers, so they have to give a little to get the workers in. So there's that thing
Right.
that has totally flipped because before the pandemic, I'm telling you, corporations, excuse my French, were assholes.
Hmm.
They were cutting people to keeping them just below the full time so they didn't have to pay benefits. They were making them work all these stupid, weird hours and not giving them anything and just telling them they need to do more and their numbers need to be better. And all the different corporations were doing that because they had them under their thumb. And then this
Hmm.
pandemic opened up people's eyeballs that, hey, maybe I can survive beyond what these
Right.
people are telling me that I can't anymore. So now here you see signs up all over the place. Help wanted. We'll start at this
Here
amount.
too.
Blah
Hmm.
blah blah. All over the place. So I think here the reason we're not hearing a whole lot about strikes is because they're doing a little leeway now, trying to get people to come in. Now we all know once things settle down, they're going to take all that away again. I mean,
Yeah, and that's kind of what's happened here. I mean, it didn't even settle down. They were just like, well, no, and and then they'll turn around and go because the pandemic. It's like you've used that excuse for everything, sir. We're done with that. You have got, and obviously Brexit caused a lot of issues because, like I said, there was free movement. Because we were part of the European Union, there was free movement. So you could have workers come from, Germany or France or, Spain or wherever, and they'd come over and work here. Now it's too difficult to do it. They're like, can't be asked. Plus,
well,
I've been locked up in my own country.
here's the thing too. Here, a lot of places don't want to hear anything about unions. They will fire you if you try to start a union. They tell you they will shut the place down if you try to get unions in. I worked at places like that. They would plain tell
Wow.
you, we will shut this place down if you try to bring a union in. I mean, it's so there are a lot of companies that are against having unions because they know.
Right, because if you get, like, again, in solidarity in numbers, they can get your back up against the wall, and you're going to have to, because what are you going to do if we all leave, or what are you going to do if we go on strike? Which I think I'm in a union, obviously, and I think that it's for my own protection. It's for my own protection. As lovely as the company I may work for is, I still, you're still a company and I'm still a number. So I'm going to need to be represented. Do you know what I mean? And my company's been very good to me and Dave, when he was going through all his, I mean, he's retired from there now, but they've been very generous and but at the end of the day, they're a company and I'm a number. And I'm going to make sure that I'm protected. And that's the way it is. And but we're allowed, obviously we have union. Um yeah, that's probably why, Angela, what the reason why, you know because of the mines and all the problems, not problems, but the unions fought for the mines, and they basically had those people's back up to the wall, and now they're like, well, no, we can't have unions because they're too much of a threat. It's like, no, they're there to protect the workers' rights. That's what they're there for. I don't care what you say about unions. They're there to negotiate. I can't go in and negotiate for everybody. I don't have that expertise. I can't go in and negotiate with, my company's, finance or whoever, or the CEO or whoever. I can't. That's what the union does. So, I mean, I could ask for myself, but
And once again, just reading headlines or seeing little blurbs on YouTube, I think maybe some of our railroad are wanting to strike. So, I mean,
oh,
that may be a thing over here too. I don't, I, there's so much going on that I just can't keep up.
I'm honestly surprised our lorry drivers, which are like 18-wheeler drivers, like the our lorry drivers haven't haven't unionized and had a strike yet, because they've been run to the ground. They have issues at Dover, try to get across to France because of all the. I mean, there was a tailback miles and miles long because the French, because remember, we're not part of the European Union anymore. So the French were like, we're gonna take our time. Yeah, you can just sit in your trucks and wait. I gotta do some paperwork on that. And it just backed up everybody, trying to get across the channel into France. And all these truck drivers and all these lorry drivers were just sitting in, and people who were just trying to go to France, for a holiday, driving over there across the channel, and getting on the either the ferry or was it the channel? Yeah, the channel, which is scary. Because I've been on it once, so that was enough. The channel is what goes underground, like a train. You get like, yeah, no, you're all right. Rather on the ferry.
I'll have to tell Billy about that. That there is a channel. She's okay with that. As long as she can be on land.
Okay, but this comes from the United States too.
She'll walk underneath it. She's fine with having the whole ocean on top of her as long as she can walk underneath it. She just don't want to be in a boat or on a plane.
I know, but I mean, there's not one from the U.S. to the U.K.
I know,
that's
but
from England.
She's planning where she can get across the land. I'm like, it is an island. There is no way for you to get there. It's an island.
There is from France to England. You can go under.
I have to tell her. I'm going to tell her. There's a channel, Billy. There's a channel if you can make it to France.
But you got to get to England first.
It may take you, the rest of your life to actually walk there. But hey,
you just go on a train. A train takes you across underneath. But
I meant for her to get all the way from here to there.
Oh, yeah.
She's
but so yeah, guys.
And there's always some ocean in the way.
So I just wanted to bring you the hot trend of 2022 in the UK, which is striking. And I just want to discuss it because I just thought it was interesting that so many people are going to strike. And I don't blame them. I completely understand why. It's not like I'm like, well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do in these times. And these, like I said, these are services that we all use and we all need and we all rely on. So, and I don't fault them for wanting to, better themselves and, try to live in a time where inflation is 9.4%. So, thanks everybody.
I've done told Billy if I moved to the UK, then I would come over here and give her a nice glass of iced tea. And she'll be in England before she even knows it. She'll never know.
Oh my God. She wakes up. She's like, oh my God, where am I?
I just hope she doesn't wake up in between.
She's going to knock her back out.
There might be a murder that happens. I might not be alive to get back to England.
Well, all right.
I've got to get there first. So, hey.
Yeah, you got to get here first. Like, leave her to her own devices. We get you over here first. Anyway, all right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end our wonderful striking chat here.
Don't forget thumbs up before you leave.
Don't forget thumbs up, y'all.
Give her your thumbs up.
I appreciate you stopping by. What are we doing next week? I'm in Scotland.
I don't know. We'll have to discuss it. There may
or
may not be one next week. Well, that would be fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, you won't see anything. I'll be inside my cottage, but it's like I'll be sitting in front of a mountain.
It's all right. We'll figure it out. We will be doing something next week. It'll be on my channel, but we'll figure it out.
Yes, we'll be on Daniel's channel next week, and I'll be live from Scotland.
And I won't be jealous.
All right, guys. Well, you guys take care. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. All right? Bye.
Bye.